Hi to anyone who is listening this now. How are you today? I hope you are doing very great. Well, today I have a very interesting and worth listening topic for my audience. You may have get it from the title, I suppose, how you can stop worrying and just start living your life. Let me start this podcast with one very thoughtful quote by William Wallace. It goes, everybody dies, but not everybody lives. So today we are going to talk about worry and overthinking and what does it do to your body and mind. And we will also talk about how to control it so that you can have a happy and healthy life. So are we in it? Okay, let's get started. First, I want you to ask these questions to yourself. How often do you sit down and allow your mind to wander? Do you then let yourself start overthinking? Do you then start worrying about what happened in the past, feeling bad about what happened, and then panic about what may come in the future? Well, these are all common issues in the modern day. We spend time living in the past or future. We forget to enjoy the here and now. So if you are someone who struggles with overthinking or you are constantly worrying about what might happen, learning how to put the brakes on constant worrying and learning to live in the moment will be a huge positive for you. Well, of course, this is something we could all benefit from, but some certainly more than others. The benefits of focusing on kicking worry out of your life are truly far reaching. Not only will you notice the joy that it all around you, but you will also develop stronger relationships as a result of not constantly being dragged down by fear and worry. And by taking it all on board and creating a plan to free yourself, you will notice that your life feels lighter, happier, and ultimately healthier. You see, today we are all connected than ever before, but we are also more stressed than we have ever been. So be more aware of your triggers and make a plan to overcome them. Let me tell you, how can you eliminate your worries just by living firmly in the moment? You see, one of the main reasons for worry and stress is that we are no longer living in the moment. We are either lamenting something that happened in the past or becoming stressed about something that hasn't ever happened yet or may never happen. Dale Carnegie, a very well-known author, explains the idea first brought by Sir William Osier, a professor of medicine, teaching us to live in what he calls a day-tight compartments. This means that you should live in a compartment that is firmly in the here and now. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't begin to plan for tomorrow and the future, but the best way to do that is to live to the best of your ability today and to create opportunities for the time to come. It also applies for your work. When you focus on the tasks you have now, you can do better and prevent further anxiety. Most people don't realize that the power to control your thoughts is in your own hands. Good thinking is positive and causes us to plan constructively, but lousy thinking leads to stress, tension, and the possibility of a nervous breakdown. Instead, why not focus on living your life today until bedtime and don't think further on than that? In 2016, a research has been done by the Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation shows that around 275 million people suffer from anxiety. If you think that number is huge, that was in 2016. What about 2021? I'm sure it's more than that. We all tend to focus so much on medical issues and other diseases like diabetes, giving immunizations, and raising awareness. Still, you rarely hear about the significant health risks of worry and anxiety. Well, too much worry can cause stomach ulcers, which, if left untreated, can be fatal. Arthritis, tooth decay, and overactive thyroid, possibly leading to total burnout, high blood pressure affecting the heart, and last but not the least, depression. So, worry can manifest itself in physical symptoms, which severely harms your health while damaging your mental health at the same time. So, what you can do about it? Somewhere on the internet, I found this 3 steps guide to weaving your worries away. Let me share that with you. First, take the situation and analyze it before deciding what the worst possible outcome may be. Then, accept that worst case scenario and keep it in perspective. For example, if you lose your job, it won't be good, but you can always get another. Lastly, try and improve that worst case scenario by reframing it with a positive thought. As before, I mentioned that if you lose your job, you can get a new one, but you can also get a better one. Perhaps one you uh, enjoy more, or one with better pay. In short, learn to deal with worries by using 3 simple steps. Analyze the issue, figure out what the worst case scenario is, and then understand how you could improve it. By doing that, you have nothing to worry about. Face your worries and analyze them for the clarity of your mind. Learning how to analyze your worries will give you a clearer mind, and in the end, you will realize that there was nothing to spend time worrying about. You can do this by using the same method that I mentioned before, which is identify the problem, identify the cause of the problem, come up with a list of possible solutions for the problem, and then shortlist it down to the best solution. By analyzing the problem, you are dealing with your worries in an organized and focused way. This takes away the emotional aspect and allows you to think with greater clarity. It's never easy to think with clarity when your mind is whirling and you can't focus on one thing. By taking the time to calm down and be methodical, you have a much greater chance of not only deciding upon a course of action, but deciding upon the correct one, and the one which will bring you the most remarkable outcome available. By keeping yourself busy, it will distract your mind away from your everyday worries. The best way to break the damaging cycle of worry is to fill your mind with other things. So there is no space for the anxiety to peep in. Scientists tells us that no mind on earth can focus on more than one thing at a time. That means if you stay busy and fill your mind with other things, you won't spend time dwelling on the worry. Winston Churchill famously said, "I'm too busy, I have no time to worry," at the height of the war when he made huge decisions that saved the world's future. So stay busy, keep making plans and following them through, and you won't have space in your brain for worries. Most of our worries seem huge in the moment, but when we look back at them, perhaps during dark times, we realize that we spent a lot of time worrying about insignificant things. One of the ultimate questions you should ask to yourself is, what are the chances? Ask yourself clearly that the chances are that the event or thing you are worried about will happen. By stopping to ask yourself this question, you will realize that most of the things we worry about have statistically very slim chances of actually occurring in the real life. As a child, I was terrified of thunderstorms, being struck by lightning, and being drawn away in water. Years later, I realized how ridiculous those fears were because, according to the law of averages, it was doubtful ever to happen. We can usually get rid of the overwhelming number of worries by putting them into perspective and asking ourselves whether they have any chance of really happening. We should also learn to accept the things we can't change and adjust to life as they are. We tend to throw too much time and effort at things that indeed aren't worth it. This is true of worry, and we continue to think and go over a situation, becoming more and more nervous about it in our minds. What we should do instead is ask how much worry is it worth? At what point do we need to stop worrying and accept the situation as it is? When you find yourself in a cycle of worry and anxiety, stop and ask where your stop loss point is. That is, at what point do you stop worrying and let it go? By giving every worry a limitation, you are not allowing it to control you, and become a vast, swirling mass of anxiety. Changing your attitude will help you to move toward happiness. Happiness is a choice. This is something you may have heard before. But it is also the truth that to worry is also a choice. Because we have the power to change our thoughts and therefore banish worry if we work hard enough to do so. By changing your mindset towards a happier setting, you dismiss worry and give it less chance to enter into your future thoughts. There are some valuable ways to create a mindset that puts you in a happier frame of mind and a more peaceful one. Let me share with you. And don't forget to take a note. First, choose positivity over negativity. Marcus Aurelius, a famous philosopher of the Roman Empire, said, "Our life is what our thoughts make it." If you think of fearful ideas and thoughts, your life will be full of fear. If you think of happy thoughts, your life will be happier. Control your negative thoughts and turn them into positives. Forget your enemies. Holding grudges and trying to get even with old adversaries does nothing but give the power back to them. You lose sleep and you become nervous, your blood pressure rises, the list goes on. Your enemies don't deserve this power. Don't expect gratitude. Being grateful is not a natural human trait. It has to be taught and learned. If you live your life expecting others to be grateful for the things you do for them and then becoming angry when they don't, you will live a life of disappointment. Count your blessings. There was a businessman who lost everything. He was walking down the street feeling wholly defeated when he came across a man who had lost his legs. From that point on, the man realized he had more than he thought. So always count on your blessings, the blessings of small tiny things that you have now. Just be yourself. There is nobody else on the planet like you. So why try and be someone else? Don't try and fit in. Don't feel bad about the way you look or the things you can do. Instead, just be yourself. Do good deeds for others. By doing something good for others or for someone else now and then, you make yourself feel better. You make them feel better. And you foster a positive and upbeat attitude, which worries can't break. Take criticism as a backhanded compliment. Strange thing, right? But when we receive criticism from others, whether just or unjust, it's easy to retreat backward, feeling negative about it and starting to worry. Instead, what you need to realize is that unfair criticism is a backhanded compliment. When someone criticizes you without a reason, it's because you are doing something which makes you stand out. That is, you are achieving something which makes people stand up and take notice. Most people get a kick out of knocking down people who have raised themselves, which comes in the form of unfair and sometimes hurtful criticism. Learn to take this as a compliment, and you will overcome such problems in the future. As long as you are doing the best you can, criticism shouldn't bother you. Of course, some criticism can be positive, that is constructive and gives you a platform on which you can learn more. Get regular sleep. Insomnia is a huge problem in the modern day, but worrying about not sleeping can be a bigger problem. Everyone needs a certain amount of sleep, with some requiring more than others. The problem is, when you worry about not sleeping, you are making it harder for you to sleep in the first place. A research has been done that says that people who have insomnia actually sleep more than they realize. So if you can't sleep, do some of these things. Get up and read until you feel tired. Don't worry about not sleeping. It's not going to hurt you. Relax your mind and body. Do some exercise to tire yourself out physically. Try prayer if that works for you. When we are young, we are focused to decide that we want to do our lives. That is, for example, the career we want to follow. This is a very stressful decision that can cause a lot of anxiety and worry. It's important to realize that it's entirely possible to have a range of different jobs and careers throughout a person's life, perhaps failing in some and succeeding in others. The best way to deal with this decision is to listen to what you want, seek reliable advices, and do your best to remain calm about the reality. This decision can and probably will change over time. Also, one of the biggest reasons that people worry is to do with money. Most think that if they could increase how much money they earn, their worries will disappear. But this really works. This really doesn't work. So the best way is to become smarter with money and create a budget. I want you to take a pen and paper and note this down, what I'm about to telling you. First, write down all the figures accurately. Second, get advice and create an affordable budget. Third, learn how to spend appropriately and wisely. Fourth, don't give yourself a bigger headache by taking on more expenses than you can afford. Fifth, build up your credit rating for the future. Sixth, insure yourself against emergencies such as fire and illness. Seventh, avoid having your life insurances paid completely to your widow in case. 8. Teach your children how to be money savvy. 9th, look into ways of earning money on the side hustles. And 10th, avoid gambling at all cost. Money is one of the biggest reasons that people worry and develop anxiety. But is it worth it? At the end, let me share some final thoughts with you. Learning to stop worrying will be the catalyst to changing your life completely. It won't happen overnight, and it is something you will need to work at. But once you notice changes, celebrate them and continue to focus on the things you need to work on. When you are constantly worrying, you don't have the time to work towards the things you want to achieve in life. Worry takes up far more time than you realize, and it also erodes your general health and happiness at the same time. If you constantly find yourself feeling exhausted when you have done nothing out of the ordinary, the chances are that you are expending energy on unnecessary worry. Understanding that we have control over our thoughts and therefore our worries is a light bulb moment. Once you realize how to change those thoughts into positive rather than feel negatives, you will notice a brighter, happier future. In the end, worry might be prevalent in life, but as I said earlier, it's a choice. You can choose to free yourself by doing the groundwork. Sure, life throws us hard times occasionally, but how you deal with them dictates whether you will be a more positive and happier person or someone who allows the what if to carry them through the miserable life. For anyone who struggles with overthinking, learning to harness that will completely change your life. Think of all possibilities in life you are missing because you are focused on the what if and maybe. There is a big world out there, and you are allowing fear to control your life. Understand that you are holding yourself in a prison of your own making. It's time to free yourself. So that's all for today, guys. I hope you got to learn something to control your worries and live a happy life. If you like this episode, then please do subscribe to the podcast so that I can get more of these kind of stuffs to you guys. I will leave you here with your day ahead. Stay positive and stay happy. Peace, guys.